Hi, I'm horror author Paul Edwards. Tonight I'm watching The Headless Ghost from 1959. Don't feel bad if you're not familiar with this movie. It's pretty obscure. This is a low-budget black and white horror film, and it tells the story of three college students who are part of a tour group in Great Britain that's touring a reputedly haunted castle. And the three students get very curious about whether or not the ghosts are real. So they decide that when the rest of the tour group leaves the castle at the end of the day, they are going to hide and not join their peers in going back to town. And instead, they're going to stay here and spend the night in the haunted castle. Well, it doesn't take much imagination to predict what's going to happen next. Of course, the castle is not only haunted, it's actually replete with ghosts. There are a lot of ghosts from the various generations of nobility who have lived here. Some of the ghosts are friendly, some of the ghosts are mischievous, some of the ghosts are hostile. And what happens is that the three students make friends with a ghost who steps out of his painting on one of the walls and tells them a story about how he and his fellow ghosts are going to be trapped here until one certain ghost, a man named Malcolm, who was beheaded, until he is reunited with his head. So the three students have this mission that they have to complete before morning comes, and they have to sneak around the castle and have run-ins with various ghosts trying to rescue the one doomed ghost and save the day. This film takes a very childlike approach to ghosts. Not even childish, but childlike. Basically, ghosts are treated, at least the friendly ghosts, are treated like an invisible friend. The students have, complete conversations with the ghost as if it was a human being who had just popped into our time and place from centuries ago. I actually like the dynamic of a fictional ghost having a conversation with a human being in a very interactive way. I did that myself in one of my books, Mourner's Cliff, where my main character, the heroine, Jazz, is herself a ghost and is trying to solve her murder before the killer can get her friends. So the dynamic with the ghost that they're friends with is entertaining, and it's certainly family friendly. The ghost, of course, gives them this quest to find, a secret MacGuffin that's hidden in the castle that is needed in order to reunite the ghost of Malcolm with his head. And they also have to recite a special rhyme, a special poem at the time that they're using this MacGuffin. So it's got a very childlike quality to it. There is something that's also of note in this, and it's actually a gimmick that I think is pretty good. This isn't a spoiler. This is just something that they come across in one of the bedrooms of the castle. In this particular bedroom, back in history, a king had strangled his wife to death because he found out that she was committing adultery. So anytime that anybody sits on the bed or even touches the bed, it's like a recording plays with the voices of the queen and the king arguing leading up to the murder. And then the drama ends. And then if you were to sit on the bed again or touch the bed again, the voices repeat the same words, and they're doomed to do this forever anytime that somebody activates it by pressing on the bed. It's kind of like in a wax museum where you step on a certain pedal in the floor and the display moves, that sort of a thing. That, I think, is a very good gimmick. In fact, I did something very similar to that in my book, Mourner's Cliff, where Jazz and her best friend David are climbing down the cliff facade, and there's a certain stone, and whenever you step on the stone, you hear the scream of a falling hiker, but there's no hiker there. This hiker died years ago, and it's just anytime anybody steps on the stone, the scream shoots by them on its way down into the abyss at the bottom of the cliff. So that's a gimmick I liked a lot. The Headless Ghost is not a very well-known film. It's easy enough to find if you know that it exists. The only reason I ever knew that it existed is that when I was a kid in the 1970s, the Headless Ghost was shown on Creature Double Feature on WLVI Channel 56 in Boston. And if you lived in a TV market where they had similar shock theater type programming with, different horror movies being hosted each weekend, then chances are that the Headless Ghost was aired at some point in your TV market as well. Listen, if you enjoy classic monsters and vintage horror, check out my book series, the Mourner's Woods books. I've written a series of novels that all take place in a haunted forest. I post a link in the description below. And my name again is Paul Edwards. My books are the Mourner's Woods books, available on Amazon. Thanks for spending some time talking with me about the Headless Ghost. I'll see you in Mourner's Woods.